26, my life seemed perfect. I had married my college sweetheart, we were building a home, I had a great job that I loved, I was leading my company in sales. I was motivated, confident, outgoing, and happy. Until one day in December of 2005, my world was turned upside down by a manic episode. After barely sleeping for a week, my husband had to call 911 to have me involuntarily committed to a psychiatric facility. He'd be forced to do this 3 more times over the next 5 years. When you look at this picture, it appears that we're having a relaxing vacation in a tropical place, but this was only 2 months after I first got sick, and it was the beginning of what would become a year-long struggle with depression and severe anxiety. When I was first diagnosed with bipolar disorder, my first instinct was to hide it. I didn't want other people to think I wasn't normal, whatever that is, so I hid behind smiles on the outside, when on the inside I felt broken and worthless and like I'd never get better. Depression and anxiety and other mental illnesses are silent killers in our society. Because we don't treat mental illness the same as we treat physical illness, instead of asking a friend to recommend a psychiatrist, we suffer in silence because the stigma creates a sense of shame. My dad used to take me to bookstores and we'd go straight to the psychology section. And he'd look for books like Bipolar for Dummies to understand the illness, and I'd search for stories from regular people so that I knew that they made it out of the darkness. I didn't find many in books, but I found a lot of personal stories when I turned to the internet, and I found a lot of blogs, and they inspired me. And after a few years, I ended up starting to write my own story. It was very healing. My family, though, was concerned about stigma and discrimination, and they urged me to remain anonymous on the blog. So as much as I wanted to put my real name out there, I didn't for the first year and a half. I had the opportunity, though, why can we celebrate overcoming cancer when I couldn't write openly about battling a brain condition? So my family's concern, though, did win over, and I remained anonymous for that first year and a half. I had the opportunity to go public, though, when an editor from a website, you may recognize it, contacted me after finding my blog and asked me to write a piece for them. I did, and the next day they called me and said, "We loved it, we want you to write more." And that was the moment I put my real name and our family photo on, they put it up on AOL.com. The outpouring of support was incredible. So many people wrote me to say thank you for being so open. They could see themselves in my story and they appreciated it. So a couple months later, I had the idea to launch a project with a friend. I wanted to give other people that same opportunity I had, a platform on which to share their story, but also through poetry and music and personal essay, and we called it This Is My Brave. My goal was to encourage people to talk openly about mental illness. We're regular people who have overcome extraordinary struggles. So I wanted the show to be a way to celebrate that and also reduce stigma at the same time. So in October of 2013, we launched This Is My Brave via Kickstarter, and we were successfully funded in 31 days, raising over $10,000 to fund our first show. Our project had its start, but would we be able to find the storytellers? We would. We publicized the auditions through the DC metro area, and we cast the show with 13 incredible storytellers. We sold out and received rave reviews, and as a nonprofit organization, we went on to create more shows in cities across the US. I knew we were onto something the moment a woman came up to me after our very first show and said, "I drove all the way from Philadelphia to see your show. I found your blog in my darkest moment, and your writing saved my life." I've been helping people tell the world mental illness is a part of me. It's not all of my story, but it's a piece of what makes me who I am. For nearly 3 years now. Our YouTube channel contains over 100 personal stories, and this May we'll be adding 67 new ones. Whenever I'm in a place and I meet someone new and tell them what I do for a living, their usual response is, "Wow, that's really cool." The next question is always, "How did you decide to do something like that?" Which is when I tell them, I myself live with bipolar disorder. I've been hospitalized 4 times for mania. I share my story so that others know that there is hope and there is help and that they are not alone. And 99% of the time, the person I'm talking with begins to tell me a story of their own struggle with mental illness or that of someone they love. When we stop worrying about what people will think and start sharing our stories, we can save lives. Thank you.